So in this video I want to share with you, as promised a while ago, my blunders with Southeast Asian girls, especially with Filipinas, because most of my blunders happened with Filipinas. And as some of you know, I started dating Filipinas way back in 2006 when I arrived in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong at the time, as today, are thousands of Filipinas. I've done videos about that already. Also, you want to check them out if you like. But my first encounters with Filipinas mostly were with bar girls working in Hong Kong, freelancers, freelance girls, you know. So basically, already then, I looked in the wrong places, yeah, in Hong Kong, but also later in the Philippines. When I came to the Philippines the first few times, I actually went into the wrong areas and therefore met the wrong women. But it doesn't mean that the Philippines is in general a wrong place, or a wrong place for dating or hooking up with girls. I'm not saying that. The Philippines is actually, in my opinion, overall a great place also for, not only for traveling, but also for retiring and living there permanently. Yeah, if you manage it in a smart and reasonable and responsible way. And if you actually are interested to retire in the Philippines, then I know a company who can help you with settling all your matters. It's called Filipino Visa, and as the name suggests, Filipino Visa is handling visa matters, among other stuff. Yeah, it is a full board immigration service, reliable, fast. They provide premium visa assistance both ways. So if you want to retire in the Philippines, they help you with your legal matters basically. But also if you have a Filipina fiancé and you want to move her back to the States, for example, Filipino Visa is specialized on the United States, then you also can bring your fiancé to the States, and Filipino Visa will help you with all the legal matters, visas and all that stuff. They provide consultation services, in-person assistance in the Philippines. They help you with documents, preparation. They help you with hotel bookings, flight arrangements, and many more things. So this is really the only visa service I would recommend, especially if you want to apply for a spousal or fiancé visa, okay? So I just wanted to mention that here quickly. But back to my blunders with Filipinas. So yeah, where to start? I've done a few, and but when I compare my blunders to the blunders of other expats, I actually was lucky, you know, or maybe I wasn't that stupid. You can look at it both ways. But I, for example, also sent money to the girls when they asked me. I remember one bar girl from Angeles City asked me whether I could send her one. This is many years ago, of course. Yeah, this is now like more than 10 years ago. When I still went to Angeles City from time to time. You know, the red light area there, and yeah, of course, you know, you hook up with bar girls and then you keep in touch, you exchange numbers, and then I went back to Germany and then we kept in touch, and then she started to come up with some stories, you know. She wanted to buy a new TV, so of course I felt like helping her and asked her how much is the TV. She said $100, and then of course I sent her the money, right? And but we all know Most of us know that the $100 were not spent for a TV, right? So then in Hong Kong, actually, I met another bar girl. I had done a video about this. We became a couple for quite some years, actually. She also asked me whether she could borrow $500. I lent the money, I never saw it back, you know, stuff like that. A few years later, I remember dating a Filipina, first date in a mall, Venice Mall, I remember, in Manila. I met this girl just a couple of hours before that on an online dating site, which I don't recommend. And a couple of hours later, we met in the mall, we had some lunch, and then after lunch, we went straight to the mall, and I ended up buying her a $300 smartphone. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, things like that, you know. And I remember also like hooking up with girls and then start to traveling with them. Filipinas, hooking up with Filipinas inside the Philippines and then starting to travel. And I also remember, of course, hooking up with Filipinas in the Philippines and then starting to traveling with them because they insinuated, you know, certain things, telling me whether we can go to this or that place or to this or that island, because she always wanted to go there, you know, and I kind of, yeah, I was falling for that. You know, this is also a very smart way to travel, and the girl didn't need to pay any money because I was kind of traveling anyway. So for me it didn't really matter. But this is also one way the girls, you know, take advantage of, you know, if they meet a Western guy. So that basically covers my blunders. And some of you might say, no, oh Marcel, this is nothing what you mentioned here. This is kindergarten, you know. I know guys who lost everything. And yeah, I also heard other stories, but I want to say these women I met only represent a small fraction, a certain category of women. Remember, I looked in the bars, I looked in the girly bars, I looked in the red light districts in the very, very, very early beginnings, you know, like almost 20 years ago. In case some of you want to lecture me, you know, you need to watch these videos in full, you know, and not just start, because there are still some guys who want to lecture me and telling me, oh, how stupid are you to hook up with these girls. I'm telling you, it was 20 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, I'm not doing this today anymore. I learned also a couple of lessons, or maybe 3, you know. I'm a little bit smarter today, you know. That's why I'm doing these videos, you know, to share this here. But I'm not too shy to talk about my blunders and my mistakes, you know. And I can laugh about myself also. It's no problem, you know, because I just want to help other guys to not do the same mistakes. So I looked in certain areas, I ended up with a certain category of women, so that's what you get, right? And all I want to say is the Philippines is not like that, you know? So there are way more good girls around than these fishy girls, right? And in other Southeast Asian countries also, like in Indonesia, barely any women ask me for money, for example, you know. Anyway, also in the Philippines you have girls who have decent jobs and are solid and no need to beg and don't want to beg for money or take advantage of anybody, you know. But you're right, my experience is nothing probably compared to the other horror stories you can hear, you can read. Or maybe you experienced them yourself, right? Guys who lost all their property, all their money, because they bought houses or built houses for their Filipina, girlfriends. Sometimes they don't even know these girls, you know. They only know them from online dating. Building houses, transferring huge amounts of money, hard currency to the Philippines, losing everything. money stolen, property stolen, yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I also did this, you know, I gave money away, I was falling for these stories. But the interesting question for me is, why did I behave like that, and why certain men behave like that still today, or behaved in earlier times, you know, and ended up really broke and I don't know, desperate. And I think, long story short, I covered this also in other videos, certain men really suffer from a great fear of rejection, right? They have a scarcity mindset. They also think they need to and want to impress these Filipinas or these girls. They are needy guys. They want to play Mr. Nice Guy, or they want to be Prince Charming and being the rescuer, the savior, you know. So I also thought that I can buy feelings, or I can buy care, or commitment, or a favor maybe, or maybe even love, you know, when I help these girls out financially. But as you might have guessed, I got nothing, you know. I got nothing out of it. So a very bad investment, actually, right? No return of investment. Yeah, very, very bad decision making from my part, right? But this is how I also thought. That was my thought process at the time, because I have not really figured out the whole dating dynamics thing, system there in the Philippines yet, and how it all worked, you know. It's basically the same system today, but of course now I learned my lessons, you know, and now I feel confident to talk about this and give some advice, you know. And it sounds so easy now today to talk about it, but I tell you, and the newcomers will confirm this, and there are still newcomers coming as an endless stream, and many of them burn their fingers. Why is that? These guys are not stupid, they're not idiots, you know. This is a very interesting topic. It requires another video. I've done also other videos about this, touched on these topics, the psychology behind our behavior. Some of the guys who then start to behave in a very weird way and weak way, yeah, totally different than in their home countries. Now I arrive in the Philippines, they seem to have lost all their common sense and logical and analytical thinking abilities, you know. But what I want to say is also, now, don't blame the Filipinas, yeah, if you have lost money. I mean, I would say in maybe 80 or 90% of the cases you have to blame yourself, right? I also was very quick in blaming them in the beginnings, you know, pointing fingers. These scammers, these bitches, they're all liars, they're just after my money, you know, they just want to rip me off, they're greedy. And it's of course easy to blame, you know, but you know, who gave them the money? It was me, right? I want to make this very clear. No Filipina ever stole anything from me, neither my wallet, cash, my watch, or my digicam, for example, but Chinese girls did that, you know. Mainland Chinese girls, they stole my watch, my cash, and my digicam. I've done a video about this. And yeah, as you might have guessed, these girls were also hookers, yeah. Surprise, surprise, right? But Filipinas never. So if Filipinas want to get some money, they do it differently. And most of you guys know how they do it, right? But this is a small fraction. But I also know, because I've been reading the other comments from my previous video, there are still many guys who have a very bad opinion about Filipinas, and they still are convinced today that most of the Filipinas are just not trustworthy. I don't know how they come to these conclusions. Maybe they just burned their fingers so badly that they now have a grudge for the rest of their lives, or they just watched too many YouTube videos, never actually set foot down in the Philippines and made their own experiences, right? The Filipina I bought, the one I bought the handphone, You know, remember I told the story where I bought a $300 handphone. She asked me, you know, can you buy me this phone? And I said yes. I could have said no, right? But you know, maybe I thought if I buy her the phone, then she will like me and she will kind of stay with me. I don't know. Weird reasoning, you know, illogical, irrational reasoning at the time from my side. And she asked me, she didn't say you have to buy me that phone. She didn't blackmail me or anything. She asked very politely, you know how Filipinas are, very cute, sweet. She asked in a very sweet way if I could buy her the handphone. I remember I was thinking back and forth for a couple of minutes, but eventually, you know, I bought her the phone. So you cannot blame the Filipina, right? I have to blame myself, right? I mentioned this already. If you just look in certain areas and establishments, you know, and maybe on sketchy dating sites, when you just hang around there, then you don't need to wonder that you also just end up with a certain category of women, which I now explained already in detail. Yeah? These women, they are desperate, for sure. Most of them have an agenda. They need money. They are greedy, yes, I agree. They are ruthless, maybe also, yes. And they do almost anything to get their fingers on money. Yeah, so you have these women in the Philippines, you have them in Germany also, you have them a lot in the United States, my friends. You know what I'm talking about. I hear so many bad stories, you know. Oh, the Filipinas are all gold diggers, right? Have you looked in the United States already? Good luck. I think many US guys can confirm, right? I hear so many bad stories. I know a few guys from the US who told me what's going on there in terms of dating, and yeah, so you have these women everywhere, right? So it's not a Filipino thing. And there are also these women, they work as hookers, you know, because they need money, they want money, I don't know. I've seen this in Hong Kong, I've seen it in Singapore. You can find Filipinas anywhere who do that kind of job, in Taiwan, maybe in Japan even, you know, in the Middle East for sure, you know. But I don't want to judge these women for doing what they're doing. I want to make this really clear here, okay? They have their reasons to do what they do. It's their survival strategy, it's maybe a low integrity survival strategy, yes, but at least they survive, you know. And some girls, they have just different limits, you know. Most of the girls, even in the Philippines, could never imagine to become a freelance girl, a hooker or prostitute, or work in a girly bar, right? But some girls do, and they have no problems with that, you know. Many of them actually are happy to do it. But also I met the freelancers I met in Hong Kong, for example, I must say they were really desperate, mostly single moms, you know. They didn't know what to do in order to feed their baby. So they decided on their free will to go to Hong Kong and start to work in these freelance bars. These were not professional bar girls working in a girly bar like in Angeles City or Subic Bay or places in Manila. These places in Hong Kong is a little bit different, but that's how it is, you know, and that's why I don't want to judge these women. Number one, I appreciated their service, you know. You always need two people, right, man and woman, to do that. And I'm not a single mom, so I don't know how tough that is to make sure that you feed your baby. And I don't know how it is as a single mom in the Philippines with no job, having one or two babies. I don't know how tough that is. And I know some guys will say, yeah, you know, they're just lazy, that's why they don't have a job. And they just have sex with anybody, that's why they have so many babies. I don't know if these kind of arguments really move us any further in this discussion, you know. These are just guys who are venting out their frustration. It's unintelligent, it's not smart, and it doesn't help anybody. I can understand a certain frustration because I also went through this, but one has to start to switch on his brain and be a little bit more mature and objective and rational and start to reason properly, okay? This is just my opinion. This is how I look at it. You can do whatever you want and think whatever you want, but actually I'm happy that I'm able to think today in this way, because it's way easier just to blame everybody and to blame these Filipinas and complain and how bad everything is. But you've done nothing wrong, right? Maybe it's just your fucked up and messed up thinking process who brought yourself in this big trouble, and in most of the cases this is the reason. But these guys don't want to hear it. You see, I'm getting agitated here a little bit. I don't want to defend these Filipinas, not my point here. I just want to give my experience and opinion, so I don't want to judge. And I actually know one Filipina girl who worked in Singapore in one bar, a famous bar in Singapore, and I know now she's married already for a long time, happily. She has 2 kids. She's living in Japan, married to a Filipino-American dude. Not dude, guy, husband, you know. So she is happy today. She is having her own baking shop. She's selling stuff online. She is living a normal life, like any woman wants to live, you know. She is happily married, has children, she has a job, she earns money. She lives in Japan, slightly better country maybe than the Philippines in terms of economy and stuff, you know. So, and I know there are many Filipinas who today live a normal, regular life, who in former times maybe did some shady things, you know. And I bet her husband, my friend's husband, he doesn't know anything about my friend's past. So it's just her little secret, and these girls are okay with it. So I don't wanna judge these women, you know. Not Filipinas, not Indonesian girls, not Thai women for that, you know. So again, to conclude this video, be careful where you look. That's all I can say. Manage yourself well and manage the way you date well. I've done other videos about dating in the Philippines, and there are other videos also out on YouTube, of course. You know that from other bloggers who do very intelligent videos. Not many of them, but there are heaps of guys who throw out trashy videos about the Philippines. I have to say like it is. You know, a lot of it today is just bloody trash. It's trash. And I must laugh because right in front of me here is a trash can, you know. It's just trash. Useless stuff, you know. But there are a few, not even a handful, I would say, Western bloggers living in the Philippines who do very, very intelligent videos, speaking from their experience and trying to convey a lot of common sense and real world experience, you know, without telling stories, without showing off or grandstanding or anything else, you know. So I'm not the only one who's trying to do that, you know. So manage it well. I'm not saying you are not allowed to go to any girly bar or not to visit a red light district or not to go on dating sites, but just be aware and be conscious of the fact that it's tricky, right? I mean, if you can manage it well, then okay, all good. If you can navigate through this, then congratulations, well done, you know. But just be on guard, right? And be selective and use your common sense, which you have. You have common sense. So, and then when you apply this, if you apply your common sense, if you stay selective and on guard, then you can also actually later, if you want, retire safely in the Philippines and enjoy a great dating life, I believe, and even find your dream partner, get married in the Philippines, you know. And if you want to bring your wife or your fiancé to the States, back to the States, then, you know, you know where to click, you know where to look. The link is in the description. Filipino visa. This guy is helping you to bring your fiance or already Filipina wife over to the United States. Or if you want to move to the Philippines, then Filipino visa is helping you out with all the other legal matters. So with that being said, I'm checking out for today. These were my blunders with Filipina women. Again, when I look back, it actually wasn't that bad, right? But I did these mistakes also, you know. Just happened, you know. Bad reasoning, bad decision making, and I don't know, some other twisted psychological issues at the time, you know. I talked about in other videos. So with that being said, I'm checking out. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Looking forward to your comments. Do you agree with me? Do you think, do you see it the same way? Or are you somebody who really, I don't know, hates Filipinas forever, or hates the Philippines, or I don't know. I know about a few cases when Filipinas really played a very nasty and dirty game. That happened, I know that, but still the majority of the girls, I think, if we want to be honest, you really have to look into the mirror and blame yourself, right? And start to learn. But anyway, I don't want to lecture you here, you know, so it's just what I think and feel and what I did eventually, you know. You are grown up guys, right? So you should know what to do, right? So see you in one of my next videos. Take care, bye-bye.